Thank you guys. It's just a little bit of yoga warm-ups. And now I'm going to hand it over to the boss man. I'm going to make you co-host, bro.
Excellent, Sri Singh.
Yes,
Waheguru,
sir.
Sathanam.
Waheguru ji. Yes, I.
All right. So, little mic check. How's the clarity of the sound? Can you hear everybody?
It
I can
sounds
see
good over here.
thumbs up. Awesome. Thank
Amanda
you.
says it's good. Yep, it's looking good.
Perfect. Welcome, everybody. Thank you for letting me be part of this evening. It's been an incredible journey. My brother, Sri Singh, and I have known each other for many lifetimes, and this is one of the funner ones because we get to jam out together. We're musicians, and we're also spiritual seekers. So I'm going to do a little bit of a shift in energy right now. We've gone through a lot of physical stretching, breathing, centering, and now we're going to really activate the mind because I want you guys to open up your mind and think critically, assess some of the things that I'm going to be saying may not jive with what you've learned. Some of the things that I've learned didn't jive with what I learned when I was younger. And I grew up as a Sikh, in a Sikh household. My father's the chair of a religious studies department, in a university out in the West Coast. But my mother was a healer of her own right. She taught me about things like acupuncture and reflexology and medicine that was natural at a very, very early age. So curiosity started kicking in. My wife actually is a pranic healing instructor and an arhatic yogi and has dedicated her life to this teaching. And her calling is this. And so my relationship with spirituality and extending beyond my own understandings has started with all the amazing people that I've been around. So through osmosis, I've gotten a little bit of spirituality here. So hopefully with this exchange, I can bring you on a journey tonight. The journey that I've experienced in my understanding of what Naam Simran is. Naam Simran is something that a Sikh child growing up and hears often. This is something that we're supposed to practice. What is it? So I started thinking at an early age, and I would go to the Gurdwara, which is our Sikh temple, and I'd hear the music, and I'd be, oh yeah, they're singing Waheguru, and the beats going and the drums going, and I would be just in that zone. I'd be just, feeling that vibe, and then I started realizing there's more to it. I'm missing something, so I started asking questions. One of my questions was about the Sikh Dharma. And I realized that my relationship with Yogi Bhajan, and the Sikh Dharma started before I was born. Because my mother's elder sister, my Masi, was part of the group that brought the teachings to North America from India. So this was an amazing realization that the family lineage had some of this, extending beyond these cultural or community norms into a world where spirituality unites us all, and we find that connection. So what I did was several years ago, after my wife had discovered Arhatic Yoga, I found myself on that same path, as taught by Grandmaster Choa Kok Sui from the Philippines. And in that process, what I realized, my understanding of Sikh sacred scriptures became much more evolved. And I had no idea that would happen. So it was an interesting journey to start realizing and re-seeing the things that I started learning when I was younger from a whole new perspective. So hopefully tonight I'll be able to share some of the things that I've seen. And I'm still a student. I have a long way to go, and hopefully I can learn from you as I've learned from so many up until now. So this session will be broken up into two parts. I'm going to do a lot of this yapping first. So let me just kind of tone the vibe a little bit so we get a little ambiance music. You hear that? Is that good? Awesome. So that gives me some peace. This is called a tanpura. But it gives me a vibration, it gives me that centerness. And that's really around what mantras are supposed to do. Mantras are words that have frequency and vibration. Simran is the ability to chant, recite, meditate. What I thought was we'd go to Gurdwara, we'd start chanting, and we'd get into this whole vibe, and that was it. That was the pinnacle. I realized much later that there's actually many stages of meditation. So I'll talk about 3 different stages of meditation, of Naam Simran, and then we'll practice them. Okay, so I'll walk you through it, I'll guide you through the practice, and so you'll get to experience it and see for yourself whether there's a difference. Does it feel different when you do it a different way, when you approach it differently? So I'm going to talk about the mantras, Naam Simran, and one other aspect of Sikh religion, which is called the Invocation. It's the Ardas. It's something that we do before any process that we start, any ceremony. We always come together and we invoke together, and it's called Ardas, and we take it for granted because everyone's doing it, and just like, when is this Ardas gonna be over? But what we realize is that invocation has a lot of depth in it. There's a lot of tuning that we do in order to prepare ourselves, to prepare our bodies, to prepare our minds, and to prepare our souls. So I'll touch a little bit on what that is. So I'm going to have you guys do one thing for me. Take your hands like this, put your fingers together, and make a small circle. Okay? This is the first level of truth. And a statement that I'm going to make is, Chicago is in Illinois. The first level of truth. It's true, right? It's correct. Then we'll take the same position starting, but make a little bigger circle. Okay? Second level of truth. And this is really, Chicago is in the United States. That's also a correct statement. It's true. It's just a different perspective. And the final circle, big circle, okay, the third level of truth. Chicago is in North America. Are any of those statements wrong? No. They're all correct in their own perspective. So some of the things that I say will come from a different perspective than those who might have a very specific experience with mantras, with some of the practices of religion, or even meditation and yoga. So I hope you'll experience this and understand that each of these perspectives adds some depth to our experiences and our understanding. So let's carry that forward and talk about Sathanam. Sathanam's the first mantra we're going to talk about, and that's actually something that we've chanted, as well. There's different meanings to this. Some people say it's Sat referring to truth, Nam referring to name. Some people extend the word Nam to be identity or self. And then Sat, is it this truth, that truth, or this truth? Sat is a different word than Sach. S-A-C-H also means truth. So why did the teachers use a word Sat versus Sach, with both could mean truth? Because Sat really refers to something beyond. It's something eternal. It is something abstract. And that also correlates to the Nam. So when we talk about Satnam together, we are talking about that eternal identity that is the self, that's beyond concrete awareness. It's an abstract concept, and it's something that physically, emotionally, mentally we may not understand, but spiritually and intuitionally we all know, right? And so that Satnam is referred to a lot of times as Bij mantra. Bij means seed. So what is this seed going to grow into? There's many different traditions that talk about the trees, right? The tree of knowledge, the tree of life. Why do we talk about the seed? The seed contains the essence. Everything that is needed to create a forest begins with that seed. So Satnam being regarded as the Bij mantra, there's a lot more in there than just a title of Bij or something that starts off longer verses or longer scripture. Bij mantra means something deeper. So think about that and see if that resonates with something internally to your experience. The second mantra is Waheguru. Waheguru, of course, many of us know is the name we associate to God in Sikhism. Wah is it's like an expression. It's not even a word. It's more of the lack of word and that complete overwhelmingness that comes over us when we see that true guru or that dispeller of darkness, the guru, that one who enlightens, right? So that's one interpretation. Some people talk about by Gurdas Ji and saying that each of the syllables have different meanings and connotation to avatars of different times, different yugs, ages. So putting those together represents the current age and the mantra of this age to elevate and enlighten. All of those could be true. There's different perspectives. So for us, the Guru Mantra, and for me in my experience, is a way to be receptive and conductive to that divine energy, that teacher, that ultimate dispeller of darkness. Okay, so Sathanam and Waheguru. Now, when we talk about Naam Simran, one story I want to relate to you is of me going to visit a Gurdwara in, I think it was in Michigan, and I was ready. I was ready to sit down, throw down with the tabla and the harmonium and the singing, and all of a sudden I get into the main hall and everybody's really quiet. It's like pin drop silence and somebody's singing in the background. Waheguru. Nobody else is saying a word. I'm just watching. Everybody's in this state. And I heard somebody mention outside Gupt Simran. And I thought to myself, what is Gupt Simran? This is a whole different thing. I'm a musician, so I want to get down. But this was a different type of meditation. And it's actually practiced in place. And so that really started changing how I thought about it. And recently what I learned was that when you chant, when you're singing the mantra, that's the first stage. That actually helps us control our bodies, because we have to stay still when we're chanting. We have to control our mind and focus. We also keep our emotions balanced. So the verbal stage of Naam Simran is the grounding of the body. It's this distilling of the chaos and turbulence to get to that peace and balance. And then you go to the next stage. And the next stage is actually silent chanting. So you're still chanting, but not with your voice, with your inner voice. And so as I heard that, just something went, that actually makes sense to me, that when you're quiet physically, but you're still able to hear that sound and recite it, that inner voice is your inner voice. You're the one that's singing, you're chanting, you're reciting. So you're doing that, but who's the you? Which part of you? It's not the body, it's not this, it's something else. So that silent chanting makes your awareness go beyond the physical body and connects you to your higher self. And that quiet voice, that dreamer that's sitting inside, that meditative state, guiding you and to strive towards your personal legend, that stage of yoga, that stage of union with your higher self, right? So that's the second stage of Naam Simran. And then I realized there's more. One of our teachers recently talked about the fact that when we keep talking and we keep exhaling, there comes a point where we have to stop. And what, like Sri Singh says, inhale. You can't just keep exhaling, you can't just keep pushing. There has to be a balance, and you have to be receptive. So the third stage is silence. So you don't chant internally, you listen. And what is that you're listening to? It's the voice of that oneness, of that. In that silence is your opportunity to become aware of the blessings of the divine within you and around you. I had no idea of these things until recently, and I put them in practice. And some of these courses and classes that I have been studying, they apply this technique, but we didn't learn about this with Naam Simran. And now I'm applying it with Naam Simran, and it makes sense that you should take that time to breathe and listen so that you can actually hear the sound of that divine source. So now the last topic I want to touch on is that Ardas. In the Ardas, it's done in advance of any practice, right? So I mentioned it's like an invocation. So it's a way to connect the inner source, the higher self, and the divine oneness, and Sikhs call out the names of the gurus. And in many aspects of the faith, they define their shared history. So one key aspect of Ardas is actually the ending. And the ending, a lot of us know this, and we hear it, and we say it, and we talk about this. But there's several words that refer to our ability to bless and pray for the blessings of everyone, every being, every person, every being throughout the world. And that phrase is called Sarbat da Pala. Okay, some of the people in the audience will recognize the Sarbat da Pala. Nanak Naam Chardi Kala Tere Pane Sarbat da Pala. That's the closing line of every Ardas that's done all the time. And that little invocation, the closing invocation, is us saying, you know what, God, bless everyone. The people that hurt me, the people I hate, the people that hate me, the people that have hurt me. There's so much in that phrase, and we let it go, we miss it. We don't stop to listen to the words that we actually recite. So in this practice, I'm going to focus on that. So we'll do the three stages of Naam Simran, and then we'll close it out together with that blessing for all. So with your permission, we'll begin the practice. And if you don't mind, I'll have some light music accompanying us. So let me know. Is that coming through? Okay, I know I got to do one thing. How's that? Awesome. All right, as we begin, this light music should not be a distraction, but it should help you focus and eventually let go. So we'll begin our practice. I want you to get into a comfortable position. There's 3 stages, so I want you to be relaxed. I don't want you to hurt yourself, but I also want to see if you can try to keep your back straight. Okay, so we'll begin with a short invocation, the short Ardas. If you'll join me, you can put your hands in prayer position, folded in front of you. Close your eyes. We are one. I will say the words. You can say it quietly, silently in your mind. Whatever your invocation is, to whoever you feel gratitude towards. Ardas, ik onkar. Waheguru ji ki fateh. To the Supreme God, Divine Father, Divine Mother. To the spiritual teachers, all the holy gurus, all the holy saints, archangels, to the holy masters of all traditions, to our divine selves, thank you for the priceless blessings of divine help, divine guidance, divine protection, divine mercy and compassion, inner healing, physical healing. Thank you for blessing us with divine oneness in full faith. In full faith. Breathe, and as we begin, I will chant and lead, and when you feel comfortable, close your eyes and you can sing and join along verbally. The mantra is Sathanam Waheguru. Satnam Waheguru 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 Satnam Waheguru. Now you will focus your attention on your inner voice. Chant silently as I lead. I will chant verbally, and you can put your gentle awareness on the space between the chants. And breathe. Satnam Waheguru. 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 Now gently, slowly, listen. Be still. Be aware. Be aware of your whole body. Be aware of the whole surrounding, the energy that's flowing within you, outside of you, a part of you. And then let go. Put your gentle attention on your breath. If you hear any sounds, they'll just help you go deeper into the silence. Don't use your concentration. Just be still. Be aware. Satnam. Waheguru. 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 Now slowly, gently come back to your awareness. Come back to your bodies. You can move your fingers, wiggle your toes. Be aware of your surroundings. Breathe. Gently, you may open your eyes. As we now go into the closing invocation, you can place your hands on your heart. And for those who know, you can imagine the world in front of you. Put your hands in blessing position. As we share the blessings with the world, we share the blessings with every person, every being. I want you to follow me with the words of the closing invocation. Repeat after me. Nanak Naam Chardi Kala Tere Pane Sarbat Tapala. Waheguru. 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 Well, I do have one more thing that I could share. For those who do know that we do create music, we make some of these, and so I feel like I'm a Sufi in my heart. It was either one last lifetime or I'm this one, pretending to be something else. But I have one thing to share. Yes, hopefully soon. This is a culmination of this mantra, Sathanam, and Jap Man Sathanam, Sada Sathanam is, oh my mind, sing, recite the true name. And this is done in a way that I wanted to share with you all today. It's just a minute long, so it won't take any time. But if you'll allow me, I will play it now. सर्व कला सम्राट डोलन तेरा खो प्रभु नानक दे कर हाथ आनंद गुणी निधान गुरु गरीब निवाज गरीब निवाज गरीब निवाज सतनाम सदा सतनाम जप मन सतनाम सदा सतनाम जप मन सतनाम सदा सतनाम जप मन सतनाम सदा सतनाम सदा सतनाम सदा सतनाम
Waheguru ji.
Waheguru.
Waheguru ji. Thank you so much. I would just see if anybody maybe has any questions for Maninder at all. Let's see if I get you back on the spotlight here, Rose. Everybody good? You have to unmute yourself if you have any comments.
Hi, sweethearty. This is Jovial.
Oh, hi, Jovial. How you doing?
I'm doing good. I do have a question. So I really like the mantra meditation just now, but I can you write down for us like the last part when you do the closing? I believe like you were. Are you speaking?
I'll write it in the chat. You can look in the chat.
I actually can follow what you say, but I just cannot remember it after that.
Yeah, no problem. No problem. I'll write it in the chat so it'll be easy for everyone.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
I really enjoy your meditation. It's really good. I actually go really deep into it. Thank you. I feel like I can understand your language. I don't know why. It's just go with the flow, and then I can go so deep.
You have to unmute. Oh, okay, there you go, Maninder.
Got it. Yeah. No. The language is well beyond the words because there's so much energy in it, right? And
yes.
So we speak that in all of our cultures and all of our traditions. So there's so much connection, and we just have to stop and listen. But I've felt it. I know it, especially in different travels, different journeys, and it's the words, the physical words, and the technical words that trip us up. If we look behind the words and we look at the heart, it's the same.
So true.
I love you. I love your voice.
Yes,
beautiful voice.
Yeah, your voice is so beautiful. Yeah, it just kind of like go with it. It's so soothing too.
Thank you. Thank you. I am not a singer. I don't claim to be either. It's just love. I just feel it when I sing, and I feel it when I sing with people, and I feel it when I play music, and that's my language.
I feel like one thing I need to learn from you guys is I need to talk slowly. That's the meditation voice. That's one thing that I have to learn slowly.
I have a question. My question is in regards to the mantras and certain movements. And is there a, right way that certain mantras should be performed with certain exercises and not others?
That brings me back to this, right? So there's different levels of truth. There's different ways to channel the energy of a mantra. It depends on what you're looking to do, right? So if you understand the purpose of a specific movement and the way the mantra tunes your body to affect that movement, that in connection with each other is what gives that, that pranayama, the yoga movement, the bhakti behind it, all that synergy. But if you do it in a different way, in a different circumstance, it can be just as potent, but it depends on the use. So we think about one mantra. It's a simple one. It's the word Om. It's used everywhere, but it has very different effects depending on the movement, the time, and the intention behind it. So there's a science around this, and a lot of times it's something you start feeling, you start experiencing that, wow, when I do it this way, when the teacher showed me this way, and this is from the teachers. They've gone through it, they've experienced this, right? So they're not talking from technicalities, they're talking from experience. That you do this movement and you do that mantra in this way, it'll give you that effect. Sometimes the teachers will then extend it and say, well, actually, there's more to it, right? I don't know if you've experienced, but I also teach tabla, And I do that with my students. I teach them one thing, and all of a sudden say, actually, there's another way to play that. You have to tune your hands differently, but it's the same words. It's the same bowls. In this context, it's the same mantra. It does something different. I hope that helps.
Yes, thank you very much. I was just thinking because we've been working with Pavan over, like washing it away, and I was just wondering if you would use that, with Sathanam, and so it makes sense depending on what your end goal is, and that's when you would use certain mantras or certain movements. So thank you. Yeah, I've really enjoyed this. It's been extremely educational and amazing and just a great experience. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
I have a question.
Sure.
Why do you feel like you're a Sufi? And I'm sure it's been a journey, and does that tie you to mystics of other cultures? For example, Cuban Santeria.
Beautiful question. I love that question because, yes, I feel so connected to the mystics, regardless of what they're wearing, how they're speaking, who they are, because I can see it in their eyes and their smile. They feel it. They feel that. You talk about the whirling dervishes. They feel that devotion and they spin, right? And I find myself feeling that, and I want to spin. But what's interesting is I see, this is why I say Sufi, is because Nusrat Fateh Ali Khan, he was a wonderful exponent of Sufi music and tradition around the world. Has left a great lineage. When he would sing, he would sing to different scripture, right? So sometimes he would sing traditional Sufi hymns, and then he would sing Sikh scripture. He would sing Hindu verses, and each time you would feel the same energy, that same devotion. And that's, to me, what the Sufi concept represents, is that bhakti, that devotion, and that language of the heart, and it transcends all of that. And I have many close friends that are and there's that connection. And it's even more telling being a musician, because when we play, that comes out, and it may be, I've been blessed to play with musicians that have that same passion, but it's very moving, and it's very, humbling, and you feel like just surrender, and that's for me. And maybe not all people, can resonate with that, but any Sufi, anyone who has that kind of heart, love, devotion, bhakti, yeah, that I totally connect with. Thank you for that question.
Anybody else? All right. Well, thank you guys so much for joining us. Rahul, so great to see you. Funky Desi.
My big brother, Rahul.
Yes.
The band.
I do want to say one thing since you called my name.
Yes.
Maninder, I've had the privilege and pleasure of having Maninder be my brother since he was 15 years old. And every step, I'm just so, I've never met somebody with a bigger heart and who is just such a sincere and earnest learner and who's just a badass all around. So I needed to join tonight because I knew, as long as I've known you, I knew I was going to learn a ton. So I love you, and I'm so proud of you, and thank you so much.
I love beautiful. You too. And Susie, this is one of the other Sufis. He has that same heart. He loves, so he and I connected for a long time, and still connecting.
Somebody named Ruby said something about you.
This is my wife. Texting. So she's the pranic healing instructor and Arhatic yogi. And what's interesting with her story is she was very, very religious and very specific about Sikhi, and so we connected at that level. But as her evolution changed and she started exploring and finding all these different ways to express, it aligned even more for us, because I was that Sufi all along, and now she's doing this stuff that's, it's not traditional doctrinal Sikhism, and that, it's a difficult thing when you're brought up in a community that may not be open to a lot of things. So we found that way to kind of help, cultivate this awareness and cultivate that openness, and there's so much depth to the Gurbani and Sikhi practices, and now people are opening their eyes to it. They're practicing different ways to meditate. They're learning more, and so it feels really kind of I feel really blessed to be with somebody who's that devoted and has that same vibe and energy. So I love you too, Jay.
Thank you, Janu. This was wonderful. Thank you, Shriyadi Singh. Oh my God, what a beautiful thing for me to witness Maninder in his beautiful element. So many goosebumps, so much energy, pink and gold, electric violet. It was beautiful. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
I have to call out one special guy, my dear brother Anil. He just wrote in the chat, and I've known him since, we were both this high in Calgary, Alberta, so many years ago, and we've still stayed connected, regardless of how far we've been apart. He lived in Calgary, I moved to Toronto, I lived in the States, and now, how many years later we can still connect, and there's still that love. So to everybody here, thank you so much for letting me be part of this. I'm overwhelmed with the love, so grateful.
Wonderful, Gio. Really great. Thank you so much.